You walk into a hospital to visit a friend. You are healthy, you are old, but you have years ahead. In another room, 5 children are dying, and your body could save every one of them. Nobody would ever know. Should a surgeon take your life to save theirs without ever asking you? Who owns that choice? This is Philosophy Wars. Let us begin.
A life is not a resource to be redistributed among the needy. Immanuel Kant taught that a person is an end in themselves, never merely a means to another's rescue. The moment we cut open a man who never agreed, we treat him as spare parts. His body belongs to him alone. 5 lives saved cannot launder 1 life stolen. Consent is the thin line between medicine and murder, and no arithmetic erases it. So answer me plainly. If saving 5 justifies killing 1 healthy stranger, what on earth stops that same logic from justifying killing you?
What stops it from killing me is that most real cases are nothing like this one. Jeremy Bentham asked a single question about any act. Does it raise happiness or lower it? Here the sum is brutal and clear. 5 long futures set against 1 that is nearly spent. Grief multiplied across 5 families, weighed against grief in 1. Suffering is suffering, whoever happens to hold it. Your rule from Kant feels clean and firm. That same rule still lets 5 children die on the table. I will not pretend the calculation is comfortable. I will not pretend it is wrong.
You call it a calculation. Watch what your hand actually does. A surgeon who lets a patient die has failed to rescue. A surgeon who cuts a throat to harvest has become a killer. Those are not the same act wearing different clothes. Picture the footbridge. You can shove a large man onto the tracks to halt a runaway train and save 5. Almost no one will push, not from cowardice, but because pushing makes you the cause of a death. The scale reads 5-1 either way. Your own hands know the difference your ledger refuses to record.
Your hands know a feeling. Feelings are not moral proofs. Peter Singer described a child drowning in a shallow pond beside you. You could wade in and ruin your shoes, or walk on and let her die. Walking on is not innocence. It is a choice with a corpse attached. The footbridge horrifies you because pushing is vivid and letting die is quiet. Distance and vividness are tricks of the nervous system, not features of right and wrong. 5 children will be just as dead whether I cut or merely watch. My clean conscience does not lower their body count by a single child.
Then let me speak your language. Count the whole board, not 5 squares of it. A hospital where surgeons harvest visitors is a hospital no one dares enter. The sick stay home. The injured hide. Every avoided appointment becomes a slow death you will never tally. Bertrand Russell warned that cruelty dressed as reason spreads fastest of all. Your 1 clean harvest breeds 1,000 quiet ones. Fear is a form of suffering too, and you have just manufactured it wholesale. So even on your scale, weighed honestly, the harvest fails. You save 5 and doom a city that stops trusting the men in white coats.
Now you are doing utilitarian arithmetic and doing it well. You are right about the hospital. That is precisely why my tradition forbids harvesting as a public rule. Trust is worth more than almost any single rescue. Bentham cared about consequences over time, not one dramatic afternoon. But read our case again. Nobody would ever know. The fear you describe needs knowledge to spread. Remove the knowledge, and you remove the epidemic of dread. What remains is the bare arithmetic you keep trying to escape. 5 children breathing tomorrow, 1 man who was leaving us soon regardless. You defeated a version of me I already agree with.
So your whole case rests on a secret. Hold that thought. First look at the man you have reduced to a warehouse of parts. He has a name. He has grandchildren expecting him for supper. John Stuart Mill prized the sovereign individual above any crowd's convenience. You keep calling him nearly spent, as if the old are half dead already. That is not arithmetic. That is contempt wearing a lab coat. A retired teacher with 3 good years left is not surplus tissue. When you decide whose life is nearly over, you appoint yourself the accountant of other people's worth. No human being should ever hold that pen.
I hold that pen every time I triage, and so does every doctor alive. You accuse me of contempt for the old. Look at your own scale. 5 children have names too, names you never mentioned once. They have grandparents waiting for suppers that will now never come. Your teacher is vivid because he stands before you. The children are abstract because they lie in other rooms. Proximity is not moral weight. It is an accident of who walks through which door. Impartiality means the stranger you cannot see counts exactly as much as the man you can. You are the one undercounting the dead.
Impartiality, fine. Then apply it to the secret you are guarding. You admit this only works if nobody ever knows. Ask why. A good act does not need darkness. We hide what we are ashamed of, not what we are proud of. If you truly believed the harvest was righteous, you would announce it, defend it, sign your name to it in daylight. Instead, you require silence. That silence is your own conscience filing a dissent. An act that collapses the instant it is spoken aloud was never justice. It was a crime that happened to have good intentions standing guard at the door.
Secrecy is not shame. It is engineering. I keep it quiet for the reason you gave me, to protect the trust that keeps hospitals working. A surgeon hides the harvest the way a state hides a vaccine's rare risk to preserve a system that saves thousands. Now the real question, and I want an honest answer. 5 children lie dying tonight. You can save every one of them. You choose instead to keep your hands unstained and let them go. Tell me how clean those hands truly are. A spotless conscience beside 5 small graves is not innocence. It is a purchase paid with children.
Everything you built stands on one plank. The harvest only survives because nobody finds out. That plank cannot hold your weight. A moral theory has to be one we could teach our children out loud. Yours cannot be taught. Picture the surgeon telling the saved boy, "We killed a visitor for you. Now keep it secret forever." The instant your rule is spoken, it destroys the trust you admitted was priceless. Your ethic works only when hidden even from itself. That is not a principle. It is a loophole. A rule that is righteous in secret and monstrous in daylight is no rule at all. Any ethics that must hide its own verdict has already pronounced itself guilty.
Your fortress is the word inviolable. You call consent a barrier no outcome can ever override. Watch it crack under your own hand. When you argued the harvest destroys hospitals, you were counting consequences. You borrowed my scale because your absolute could not carry the case alone. An absolute that needs arithmetic as a bodyguard was never absolute. Now test the wall. A tyrant will murder 1,000,000 innocents unless one unwilling man gives up a single kidney and lives. Your rule says, let the 1,000,000 die. No sane conscience accepts that. So your barrier bends the moment the numbers grow monstrous enough. That proves it was always a very strong reason, not a sacred wall. You dressed a heavy weight as an infinite one.
We agree on more than the shouting suggests. Suffering is real. 5 dying children are a genuine horror, and trust in medicine is precious. Here we part and cannot meet. You believe a person can become the raw material of someone else's rescue if the sums are large enough. I believe the moment we permit that, everyone is negotiable, including you, including me. Consent is not a comfort I cling to. It is the one wall that keeps human beings from becoming inventory. Save the 5 by every means a free man will offer, never by cutting open the one who was never asked.
We will not resolve this, and I will say plainly why. You hold a line and let the consequences fall where they may. I count the consequences and let the line fall where it must. Both of us are trying to shield the vulnerable. We disagree on who counts when we cannot save them all. I concede your deepest point. A world that trusts its doctors is worth defending, and that trust does real moral work. But 5 graves are also real. I cannot call it virtue to keep my hands clean while children I could have saved grow cold. We each pay a price. Mine wears 1 face, yours wears 5.
Thank you for watching and listening. Subscribe to never miss a debate.